Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dinternal book here, and my name is Gennady. We're going to have a webinar together. Nice to see you. Okay, so as usual, the first thing I would all you ask to do is to type in your chat boxes if you can hear me well. Write yes or positive or plus, anything that proves that the connection is all right and that the sound is good and you can hear me. Nice. Okay. Yes, lots of positive. Good evening to you too. Okay. Perfect. That's perfect. Good. We got lots of positive. And again, Vinita there, my home city. Good to see somebody from Vinita. Nice. So, um, today we're going to have a third webinar in the series of our Planning Perfect Lessons webinar. So, to start with, I would like to ask, is there anybody who has already been to two previous webinars on planning perfect lessons, which were on vocabulary and on grammar? Write number 2 in the chat box if you have been to two previous webinars of the series. Okay, excellent. Lots of numbers too. That's amazing. Thank you very much for being with us, for learning with us, for sharing your ideas with us. That's amazing. Okay, only one, no problem. The second one is already on our ELT website. You can go and watch it there. Okay. So, is there anybody, again, the question to all you who haven't watched any of the webinars on planning perfect lessons? I mean, no, not yet. Maria, okay. So, Maria, nice to see you here. Okay. Is there anybody else? Okay, Irina, no. Not yet, no. So there are a couple of you guys who haven't been to the webinar, so you are very much welcome to our big company that comes from all over Ukraine. And the question again to you, we are based here in Kyiv, Dinternal, yes, representing Pearson in Ukraine. What about you? What's your hometown? What's your home city or village? Where do you come from? Again, in your chat boxes. Okay, Kyiv, Bucha, Ochtyrka, Berdyansk, Kryvyi Rih, Boryspil, Sumy, Sevastopol, wow. Melitopol, good. Odessa, Severodonetsk, Zaporizhia, Tarasha, oh my, Rivne, Kyiv, Lviv, Chernihiv, Sokal, okay. Well, good. Thank you very much. So lots and lots of different places and from all our big native country, home country, Ukraine. Excellent. Nice to see you all here. So it's already time, so let's not put it away any longer and let's start the webinar. So this is the third in the series of planning your perfect lessons, and you already know, yes, especially those who have been to two previous webinars, that what is the first thing to think about when we start planning any lesson? Again, in your chat boxes, what is the first thing? Okay, warm up, aim, right? Objectives, aim, outcomes. Aim, okay, lots of different ideas actually. Results, aim, these are all good, but one of the first things we need to think about actually is the lesson type. You remember there are all different lesson types, all different lessons that we are planning every time. That's why we would better start with thinking about it. And there are these grammar vocabulary lessons. How do we call these lessons in general? This is a small clue for you here, guys. Again, in your chat boxes, how do we call grammar and vocabulary lessons? They are lessons on, okay, in your chat boxes, who is the first one to write the correct answer? Okay, systems lessons. Okay, Katerina, very good. Yes, these are systems. And then, well, we have covered, yes, these in the previous webinars. And there are skills lessons, again, in your chat boxes. Who is the fastest to write all the skills lessons that exist? Okay, so what skills lessons are there? How many are there? Okay, reading, good. Any other skills lessons? Writing, speaking, okay. Listening, good. Natalia was the first one to type all 4 skills lessons. Right, you are reading, listening, writing, and speaking. And I actually have already seen some correct answers in the chat boxes, though I didn't ask you yet. What about the reading and listening lessons? How do we call these 2 types of skills lessons? What type are they? Reading and listening. They are receptive, very good, and writing and speaking are productive. Yes, I already see lots of correct answers in the chat boxes. Very well done, everybody. So according to this, yes, according to the type of the lesson, we start planning it. So today we are going to concentrate on planning a perfect speaking lesson. And for that, I'm going to use our brand new resource for lower secondary school, Wider World, which is perfect for classes starting class 5, finishing 8. Well, and in particular, I'm going to use Wider World 2, which is perfect for the 6th form students. So, if we think about speaking broadly, and if we have this communicative approach to teaching in mind, so there is obviously some speaking in these types of lessons, right? No matter if it is vocabulary, grammar, reading, listening, writing, there is some speaking there. But there are some purely speaking lessons, yes, and modern resources, they have speaking pages there that's dedicated to this skill only. So does it mean that our students spend 45 minutes speaking? Well, let's see how it works. And when we think about speaking itself, yes, these speaking pages, we think about this production skill, yes, when students need to produce longer utterances, monologues and stuff, but according to the updated ministry program, and they improved it using some international knowledge, speaking has also its interactive side, so to say, when students produce shorter utterances, yes, when they don't speak for a very long time, but they interact with each other. And this is the type of the speaking lesson I have planned for today, and I'm going to share it with you. So this is the speaking page, and I start planning a lesson. So this is my lesson plan, class 6C. You remember I'm using Wider World 2. This is the unit 7.6. Well, the lesson type is written here for me at the top of the page, and it is speaking. The topic of the lesson is also here, and it's shopping for clothes. And the next thing, as you have already, many of you mentioned, we need to give one of the first thing, and you were completely right, the lesson aim. So the lesson aim for this page, and I'm very lucky to teach with Wider World, and it's already been done here for me. It is also at the top of the page, and it says that by the end of my lesson, students will be able to shop, yes, for clothes and other things. And if we pay a bit more attention to the students can shop, we understand that by the end of 45 minutes, yes, they would have some knowledge and skills to shop somewhere in abroad, yes, in an English-speaking environment. And I plan my lesson according to 3 stages. First stage is going to be a sample, because I want my students to receive a good example, yes, at the beginning of the lesson of what they're going to produce later on. Well, then I want them to practice a lot to acquire this knowledge that will help them to learn all the target vocabulary and to practice it, that would lead to some freer practice at the end that would enable them actually to use this language to shop for clothes in the third stage of my lesson. So I start with a sample. There are two things I want my sample to be. I want to engage my students into the lesson with the help of this sample. I want to grab their attention right at the start. And this sample needs to support them with useful vocabulary, with different structures that would help them actually shop for clothes and different things. So, and I have everything here on the wider world page. Let's have a look a bit closer to that. So the sample needs to be engaging and it needs to be language packed. Let's start with this engaging idea. So the first thing when my students do when opening the book, and well, I'm no different to them actually, are the pictures. Yes, we see these colorful pictures. For instance, this one shows two teenagers, obviously, well, talking about something, maybe arguing, so there are some feelings and emotions there. And this is the first thing that attracts the attention. That's why I start with the picture. I use it in my lesson because it is there for a purpose. And actually, the material, is the book itself suggests to do the same. It says, in pairs, describe the photo. But this is not the end of the task here. The students are asked the question, is Lee going to buy the red trainers or not? So this is a communicative purpose, a reason for my students to watch, yes, the video and answer the question, because actually this is a video to watch for my students. So again, in your chat boxes, have a look at the picture and just try to predict, is Lee going to buy the red trainers or not? Write yes or no in your chat boxes. Okay, no, yes. There are positive, lots of positive yes answers. Okay, some of you think no. Good. Okay. So now actually you are going to watch a video and you're going to see if you were correct predicting the answer or not. Okay, so here it goes. Watch the video and check your predictions.
Hi Amy. Listen, so we're going to take the train to Clearwater Shopping Centre on Saturday and I'm going to buy some trainers. Are you going to study again? So we're taking the X4 bus from the bus stop on Mandela Avenue at 10:15.
Great. See you tomorrow at 10:15.
Can I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for a pair of trainers.
These ones are on sale.
How much are they?
$19.99.
That's a good price, Lee. You should get them.
Can I try them on, please?
Of course. What size are you?
41? Oh, they're too small. Excuse me? Have you got them in a bigger size?
I think so. Just a second. Here you are. Here you are. Here you are.
These ones are the right size.
Great, because I'm fed up. This is the 5th shop we...
But I don't like the colour. Excuse me? Have you got these in blue?
Lee, are you going to buy them or not?
Yes. I'll take them. Here you are. Amy, wait for me!
Don't forget your change.
Okay, so Well, in your chat boxes, again, please write if Lee is going to buy them or not. Well, yes. It's obviously so. At the very end, yes, he buys the trainers. Good. So you saw the quality of video and the teenagers acting out. Yeah. So the quality is really good, and it is a really nice thing. A video, a picture, good for visuals. Yes, to involve them into the lesson and to show them a good example of what shopping for clothes is in English. So the second idea for this sample, you remember, it needs to be language packed to support my students, yes, when preparing their all dialects later on. So actually there is the text as well. So if you have no possibility, yes, to watch videos in your classroom, then your students can always read the text in their books. But as for the language-packed idea, again, in your chat boxes, just try to remember the video and the words. Can you type in what phrases were there that are good for shopping? Again, in your chat boxes, what phrases could be good for students to use? Change, try on, good. On sale, can I help you? Yes. I'm looking for. What size are you? Okay. How much? Yes. Here you are. What size are you? Again, good. Very nice. So lots of you have spotted good language there, and it's really true. Yes, can I help you? I'm looking for. How much? Can I try them on? These ones are the right size. So there is lots of useful language, lots of target language for my students to use later on. That's why the video is good and the context is also very nice. Well, so I don't spend much time here with my students. I show them the video, I engage them into the lesson, and I provide them with the language that they would need later on. And now they are ready to practice in a very structured way for them to be ready to use it in their own dialect. So here my aim is for my students to reproduce the target language accurately. And for this, these tasks in the book would help me, and I will show you in what way. So these are the tasks that my students are going to concentrate on, yes, and use when they practice. But this one, this speaking box, is really crucial in this matter. And well, when I work with this speaking box, it's not just, asking my students, all right, have a look at the words and phrases. Do you have any questions? Do you understand everything? That would leave me with 1 minute work for my students having a look and saying, okay, we understand everything. But my aim here is for my students to learn these phrases almost by heart, like as if they were learning the poem, for them to reproduce them accurately and almost fluently. Yes, for these phrases just to trip off their tongue. That's why there is a certain procedure that I follow when working with speaking boxes during speaking lessons with my students, and I'm going to share it with you. So the first thing I do with my students is I let them notice stress and intonation for them to sound more natural. Because you would probably agree there are many students, especially in lower secondary school, whose intonation and stress, they sound, well, rather flat. Yes, and I want them to be more natural, to stress not all the words in the sentence, yes, and to use their intonation. So here is the page, and we have watched the video with you, yes, and you saw that there is also text on the page. One more thing you can do with this context, you can listen to it if you don't have an opportunity to watch the video. So this is what we are going to do with you right now. I'm going to play a piece of this audio again to you, and your task is to notice stress and intonation like this. You need to listen to the most stressed word in the phrase and you need to notice if the intonation goes up or down. And then I would expect answers like that in your chat boxes. You would write the most stressed word in the utterance, and you would write if the intonation goes up or down there, okay? So these are the two questions I want you to concentrate on. How much is it, are they, and what size are you? So now you're going to listen to part of this audio again, and please notice stress and information, the most stressed word, and if the intonation goes up or down.
Audio 3.36.
Can I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for a pair of trainers.
These ones are on sale.
How much are they?
$19.99.
That's a good price, Lee. You should get them.
Can I try them on, please?
Of course. What size are you?
41?
Okay, so that was just part of the audio. Again, in your chat boxes, which word is the most stressed in each one, and if the intonation goes up or down. Okay, much up and size up. All right, yeah, I've seen some correct answers, and you are very much correct. So this is what I do with my students. You know, I remember myself doing it when I was studying at university. And this is a nice thing to practice with your students on the basic level as well, to let them notice that not all the words are stressed in the sentence, and if the intonation generally goes up or down. After they do this, I drill the phrases with my students. And you know, drilling is not only about separate words that we teach our students, it's also about longer utterances, it's about phrases and even short sentences. So it lets them practice their pronunciation. Well, those of you who have been to the webinar on vocabulary, please type in, and those who just generally know, in your chat boxes, please type the answer if we start drilling the phrases with the whole class first, or we go to individual student drilling. So how do we start drilling? Okay, whole, good. I even didn't see who was the first one because there were so many correct answers at the same time, and you're all correct. We start drilling the whole class first. Yes, I as a teacher say the phrase and the whole class repeats it, because we want to give our students, especially our weaker students, confidence, yes, in pronunciation. And then I narrow it down to groups or pairs of students, and I round it up with individual students repeating the phrase after me with all the stress and intonation. Well, the third stage of this procedure would be a whisper reading, and here I want my students to almost learn the phrases by heart, to memorize the language. So I would give them some time, let's say 3-4 minutes, and I would leave them on their own, reading again and again all the phrases, all the target language that's there, to make it stay in their head, to memorize it. Well, after that, I would probably add some fun into the lesson and let my students practice intonation and stress by doing mumbling. So they would now all together read this target language, but they would not read, they would actually mumble it, yes, to themselves. Well, it's a bit of noise, but it's also fun. Well, let's practice it now with you, okay? I'm going to mumble to you some phrases. Here they are. And in your chat boxes, you just write the number of the phrase I'm mumbling, okay? Be very attentive. I'm not going to say a word, just mumble. So, the first one. Okay, number 4. Okay, good. Yes, the changing rooms are over there, right? Very good. Lots of correct answers. Good job. And one more, okay? Okay. Excellent. Yes, number one. Yes. Can I help you? Good. Very good. So it adds fun and it lets students, yes, to differentiate this intonation and stress patterns in speech. Well, after that, after I know that my students have practiced pronunciation and they have almost learned the phrases by heart, I want to ensure their accuracy and I want to check how accurately they remember the phrases. So, a jumbled order activity is of great help to me here. On the slides now, I'm going to show you a phrase in the jumbled order. And again, your task is in your chat boxes to type the words in the correct order. Okay, ready? The first one is quite short. It's on the sale ones are. So what's the correct word order in the chat boxes? Again, who's going to be the first one? Okay, these ones are on sale. Okay, very good. Lots of correct answers almost at the same time. Excellent job, ladies and gentlemen. Well, one more to practice. It's going to be a bit longer one. Okay, here it comes. Size got have a U in bigger them. And a question mark here. Okay, it's a bit longer one. Who's got, have you got them in a bigger size? Okay, some very good fast typing skills. Many of you have got very good job. But actually, this is not the way my students would get it, because I would not write these jumbled order sentences on the board because it's going to take much of my time. Well, that's why for my students, I would just say the words in the incorrect order. And now we're going to practice it again with you. So listen very carefully to the words I'm saying again. And in the chat boxes, your task is to write the correct order. Okay? So listen carefully. Are size you what? Are size you what? Okay, that's Tijana, good job. What size are you? Good, good, good. So that would make the job for my students a bit more difficult, yes, because they won't have it written in front of them. They would just listen to it. Good. The next stage of this procedure is for me to stimulate interaction between students, yes, when they work in pairs. For this, I use the minimal exchange activity. So, one student reads the utterance, yes, reads the phrase, and another student responds to it, not looking in the speaking box. For instance, the student says, how much a day? And his or her partner answers 19.99, and then they obviously change the roles. The student says, don't forget your change, and the response here is thank you, for instance. So here you see that the answers, they are not in the speaking box, but until now, yes, for now, the students are ready to come up even with short responses, yes, to the questions that they have already learned. And the last one, the last stage is working with the whole class, and my aim here as a teacher to check comprehension if all the students have got it right. So here I am, a teacher. I would tell my students to close their books, for them not to be looking at the speaking box and at all these phrases, and I would give them the keyword, for instance, help, and then the students would tell me the whole phrase, can I help you? Or another example here, I would say size, and they would say, what size are you? So in this way, I check that they have learned all the phrases almost by heart, and they are not struggling remembering them. So this is the whole procedure. I start with my students noticing stress and intonation for them to sound more natural. Then I go into drilling and I drill whole phrases for them to practice pronunciation. Then they do the whisper reading activity, which help them memorize the language. Then I add a bit of fun and practice in intonation and stress with the help of mumbling activity. Then I check on their accuracy when students do the jumbled order task. Well, I stimulate interaction between students. It's not a real dialogue yet, but it introduces them to what they're going to do a bit later. And then I check their comprehension, the whole class work, just for me to be sure if some extra work on these phrases should be done or not. So after this, after the speaking box has been worked by my students really well, we proceed into next task. And number 3 task here says complete the dialogue with the phrases from the speaking box, then listen and check. So this is generally another context for my students to use this target language, and providing that they have worked really hard during the previous stage of the lesson, we tell them to cover the speaking box and to fill in the gaps just from their memory. So the structured practice stage is done. And just remind me here, my aim here was for my students to accurately do what? Again, in your chat boxes, the aim here is accurate. What was that? Reproduction. Okay, Elena, good job. It's accurate. Reproduction. It's not a production stage yet, but by now I'm sure that my students are ready actually to step into the last stage of the lesson, which is freer practice, and to use all the target phrases, all the target vocabulary and structures when trying to shop for clothes. And here goes exercise number 5, end use section, which ends every single page in wider world. And the task here says, in pairs, buy and sell the things below. Student A is the customer, student B is the shop assistant. So here I would organize the work of my students this way. One more thing is this stage needs to be aim driven. As you remember, yes, the students need to shop for clothes. They need to practice working in pairs and in groups. And this is the stage where my lesson aim is realized. So the stage is aim-driven for me and for my students. So I organize it in this way. I ask my students to sit in 2 lines. One line are customers, another line of students are shop assistants, and they act out this dialogue in pairs using the prompts that exercise 5 suggests. Yes, they need to shop for a hat, pair of jeans, for instance. Sometimes, again, to add a bit of fun to the end of the lesson, I would ask my students to shop for something, for a nonsense thing. For instance, to shop for a pair of socks, or, for instance, to a used handkerchief. Well, but this is not the end. My students, you know, they like acting out dialogues with the people they know, and they communicate the most in class, right? So that's why they act out the dialogue, and then they swap. So, for instance, this lady is the student. She goes at the end of the line, and the whole line moves to the right in this way. All the participants, no matter how they sat at the beginning of the task, they would have a different partner again and again and again. And I would give, let's say, 6-7 minutes for this activity for them to practice this dialogue, to practice shopping with as many classmates as possible. And obviously then they change roles. So the freer practice is done. I dedicated, I planned much time for that. I will show you later, but at least 15 minutes of the lesson students need to spend practicing the language that they have learned in the previous stages of my lesson. And remind me, this stage 3 freer practice is Aim driven, yes, very good. I haven't even finished my question and you were already there. Thank you very much for your fast and good work. Yes, this is the aim driven stage. This is when my students realize the aim that I have planned at the beginning. So the previous stage was about structured practice, doing things one by one, and you remember the speaking box is not just to ask the students if they understand everything there, but to really work hard to aim for accurate reproduction by the end of this stage 2 in my lesson. And the sample needs to involve, engage, grab the attention of my students from the very first seconds of the lesson. With wider world, it can be either reading, listening, or video, or watching video. It's up to you. And it needs to support my students with some target language, with some useful vocabulary and structures to be used at the aim-driven freer practice stage. So this is how probably my lesson plan would look like by the end of planning it. I would certainly add the exercises and the materials I used for this or that stage of the lesson. I would certainly ensure that there is much interaction and that there is much student work there. Yes, to see that it's not only me who's working during the lesson, but there are lots of student-centered activities there. And I would also give it approximate timing because, well, the situation might change during a lesson and you know that it can be quite unpredictable. But one thing is 100% there is dedicating much time for the last stage of the lesson, which is freer practice. So in wider world, there are lots and lots of opportunities for my students to speak. And these could be these drama videos that you experienced today, and they go with every single speaking page in wider world. There are also BBC Vox Pops videos with real people being interviewed in the London streets. And again, it would give my students a good example of different accents and of the way they should talk and they should speak at the end of the lesson, because all these BBC Vox Pops videos, they are about the topic of the lesson where they are situated. And there are lots of BBC culture videos which were designed together with the BBC team. And for instance, if we talk about this very unit, this is the spread, the BBC spread that goes at the end of this unit. And have a look at the question. It asks, where can you buy a town? So a very interesting question, right? And a question on the same topic, yes, on shopping. And this spread is actually a series of lessons. For instance, the first lesson might be a reading one because there is a text and tasks designed for it. The second lesson might be a video lesson. There is always a video with exercises on it. But if you don't have a chance to watch the video with your students at your lessons, well, you don't miss anything with Wider World, because in the workbook, there is always a video script to this BBC video, and you can work with it as a reading lesson. And if you have time, and if your students are as interested in making projects as my students, there is a suggestion for a project lesson here. And it says, in small groups, create a presentation about a shopping area in your country. So again, the project is also about shopping, and there is nothing more to think for you about. Yes, okay, what the project can be, the suggestions are here, and the questions that might trigger students' interests are also here. So today you had a chance to look at Wider World speaking lesson, which was an interactive type, you remember, and Wider World is just perfect for lower secondary school, and it 100% corresponds to the updated ministry program for classes 5-9. One more thing that I would like to share with you is the updated version of our Across Ukraine series. So if it's information about Ukraine, about its sites and about its history, what you're lacking at your lessons, and you go and surf the internet every time, Across Ukraine is just what you're looking for. This is our website, elt.dinternal.com.ua, where you can find lots of useful information for yourself. It requires no registration, and you can follow all our seminars and workshops and webinars there. Just look in where we are going to be next day and join us live, either here or somewhere else around whole Ukraine. Well, so today is the 26th of October, and this is the last, for now, webinar in the series of planning your perfect lessons. There's going to be the continuation to it, and we are going to inform you as soon as possible when we have the next webinar in progress. All of you are going to receive a certificate of attendance, and to get it, you need to check your email in a couple of days. I think Monday would be a perfect day to check your emails for a certificate. Then you download the certificate. It's in PDF format, so you have two options here. You can either type your name in the PDF document itself and then print out the certificate, or you can print out the certificate first and write your name and last name by your hand there. So these are the websites that might be, again, helpful to you. You can copy them down and go and visit them. I'm sure that lots of you have been there and not once. So this is all from me. I'm going to stay here for a couple of minutes more. If you have some extra questions, I'm going to appreciate it and answer if I can. And there is the support team here, Dinternal, which is also following all your questions and is helping me here with all the queries you have. And I thank you very all for your hard work, for attending our webinars, for learning with us, for sharing your ideas with us. It's really nice to be in such a lovely, active company of teachers who never stops learning. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Yes, I hope to see you too very soon. Thank you very much. How do you control your students' accuracy? Well, you know, tasks on accuracy actually, so to say, very easy to be controlled, because accuracy aims at either correct or incorrect answer. For instance, I showed you the activity with the jumbled order thing, right? So there is no other way to form this sentence or this question. There is only one correct answer. So actually, activities on accuracy are easy to be controlled because there is a correct answer, usually it's one, and there are all other incorrect answers, which is, well, always difficult for me to control are these freer practice activities, because sometimes this is the content that I want to concentrate on, not accuracy. There is a question, would mumbling work with adults? Definitely yes. Well, you know, adults, what is the idea with adults is they are not used to working like that. You know, when they were studying at school, there was a totally different approach to learning a language and to teaching generally. And with all these communicative ideas in mind and with all these fun things, well, adults also love fun, so why not mumble with them as well? It would definitely practice their intonation and stress, and that would definitely add a couple of minutes of fun somewhere in the middle of your lesson. So I'm sure, well, I had some experience working with adults, so it worked really nice with them. as well. They all have, well, even adult people, they have sense of humor, so why not? Try it, and you'll see it yourself. What task or exercise can be given as home task? Well, any. Again, this is going to what you're expecting from the home task. Are you want to check their accuracy? And this way you set any exercise, any task that has one correct answer and that's it, and then you check it. Or, my students love, well, presentations a lot. This is the thing when they can concentrate more on content, and I actually as a teacher want to concentrate more on content, so they prepare their presentations actually using PowerPoint as well, and then they deliver these presentations with all the slides to back up what they are saying, and it looks, well, very good, and the content here is king, and this is what well, I pay my attention when assessing them. Okay, Elena, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you for my support team there. The webinar, this webinar is going to be uploaded to our website and to the YouTube channel actually. Well, I think you could check for that at the end of the next week. So somewhere like in a week it's going to be uploaded. Well, for now, you can check for other webinars that that are already there on the website. It's again elt.dinternal.com.ua. You go there and there is the section with the webinars, and all the webinars apart from this very one are already there. Okay, Nadia says, I have Wider World, and well, accept my dearest congratulations. It's a great resource to be used with your students. So, good job. Thank you, Victoria. Okay, and Raisa says, me too. I assume that's about this wider world thing. Okay, good job, you too. Good for the teachers, everything is planned over. Yes, well, these are our suggestions. These are our ideas just to, yes, support you, to help you to see if, well, for you to feel if you're using the same thing, or just maybe letting you have a fresh look at something that's been in your classroom, or maybe you have forgotten about something and you would say, oh yeah, I would use that. My students would love that. So this is why we're here, to share ideas. Speak out is somewhat similar in structure, right? Well, speak out, Olga is asking, speak out is definitely about lots of speaking and production and different activating of your student knowledge. So yes, it's very similar in its psychology, but it's for adult students. I have speak out it as different, says Nadia. Well, you can use it differently, obviously. You know, you can hold one and the same book in your hand, well, two teachers, and you would use it, well, in a different way. Yes, it all gets down to what you focus on, what you believe is good for your students. Where can I get Vox Pop's video? Well, Vox Pop's video, Nadia is asking, it's behind the scratch code. It's behind the scratch code of the teacher's book, or in the workbook. So you need to unscratch it, register on the corresponding site and use it. Actually, again, on the site, which is elt.dinternal.com.ua, we have made two videos for you, two instruction videos. You can watch them, and it tells you in detail how to register the code, how to create a group using My English Lab, using Wider World resource, and how to give a task to your group of students. So please go to our website and check for these video instructions. They are quite short and very, very helpful. Some teachers make students learn dialects by heart. Is it good? So I would stick, to the idea that I showed you today. So there is some target language, right? There is some useful vocabulary that needs to be inevitably used when shopping. Yes, how much are they? What size are you? I'm looking for. So these are the patterns for students to, well, to know, yes, and to almost learn by heart. Yes, almost. But all the rest needs to be well, created by students themselves. They love making up things, and they can use different vocabulary for different situation. So, well, it might be good. It might work as well, learning the dialects. And again, it depends on the level and age of students we are talking about. If we are talking about primary kids and lower secondary, like Form 5, 6, it might be quite useful for them to remember the whole dialect, yes, or almost. But then, since their level ups, since they develop, yes, a lot more needs to be left for their imagination, for their creativity, for their free practice. But at early stages, it might be useful as well. Can you suggest any videos for Fly High books? Well, Fly High the books, they don't have their own, well, I'm not sure about, I need to check it with the managers actually. I'm not sure. It seems that there are some Fly High videos, but I need to check on that. Apart from that, any video that is good for primary school students would be fine with Fly High. Okay. Okay, the last question. How much time should be spent on checking homework to have enough time for every stage of the lesson? Well, it depends again on the amount of homework you have. So you need to, well, set up not very much for you to be able to spend, I don't know, like up to 10 minutes. That's maximum checking the homework. Well, and actually, if you work with our books, there are My Labs there, which actually help you check the home task in a matter of seconds. That might be very, very helpful. And I'm sure that, well, a lot of teachers already use My English Lab resources. These are online activity books, yes, or workbooks for students. And it saves just loads of time for us teachers. Well, and in the future, I think more and more teachers would stick to this idea, yes, of homework being checked for them by the electronic system. But generally, yes, it depends on how much homework your students have. Try to set up not very much and to do more in class, to practice more in class. You would see how your students develop there, because if you dedicate much time to checking the homework, you wouldn't, your students wouldn't have much time to for something new in the classroom. That's why, well, you have to be really careful with that, and I would rather spend more time working live with students than check loads of controlled exercises that they had for homework. And, well, come on, we're not always sure that they did it themselves, well, that they didn't copy it. Yes, so I would rather work harder during a lesson. So, thank you very much for your work today. That's all from me. I'm going to leave my support team for 2-3 minutes more here to answer some last questions there. I will be really glad to see you next time, guys. Have a wonderful evening. See you soon. Bye-bye.